So waiting, so it got me thinking. I heard someone talking the other day about all the waiting that's involved in human design. And a lot of people think, or there is a lot of talk around, well, generally we know that generators have to wait, projectors have to wait, and reflectors have to wait. But then, like, oh, I want to be a manifestor. I don't have to wait. Well, one, you can't just
Wrong.
choose which one you're going to be. But yeah, it's wrong. Human design reveals who you are energetically and who you came here to be. I'm Dana, your human design guide.
And I'm Haley, on this journey with you to uncover the power of human design.
Together, we're here to explore how embracing your authentic self is the ultimate path to a life of more freedom and fulfillment.
Welcome to the Human Design Hive podcast. Let's get into it.
Well, hello there, Haley.
Hi.
How are you today?
Good.
Good to see you again. And welcome back to the podcast for you listening. We really appreciate you being here. And we're getting back into the swing of things here with recording again or releasing episodes. And I don't know. I've just been, I have this sense of impatience about me lately. I don't know about you. It's like I have so many ideas and so many things I want to do, and there's things I'm working on. And I don't know. Summer's like supposed to be a time when you're relaxing and whatnot, supposedly. Of course, we do the transit episodes. We know what the energy is out there, but you see
And to
where
be
we are.
fair, for like 20 plus years, you guys never, and Daddy still doesn't have a restful summer.
Well, that's true. He's not having a restful summer. I never have either, but
It's literally always in our lives been the busiest time of the year.
yeah. We're still in, right now when we're recording, we're still in July. This is getting released in August, but we're in that gate of details, which I really screwed up on the details. I have to laugh when, I don't know if you saw my story around it, but like I said, this is old news now, but I do these posts on our gate episodes. We talk about each gate every month that's happening that month, the sun transit, I should say. And so on Instagram and on my email list, I tried to also do a post, and I did. And you had sent me a text saying you liked the logo, the Human Design Hive
on the
logo.
email. Yeah.
Yeah, I like it too. I like it's nice and clean. And I said, oh yeah, I realized after I sent it that the pre-header text, sometimes you can put pre-header text on there, which I don't know why it was still there, but it was on there from last week or the last week's gate episode or gate email, which was about gate 53 and beginnings and starting things. And I was like, oh yeah, I missed that detail. And then you said, yeah, also on the Instagram post, you posted 2 slides twice or 1 slide twice. And I was like, what? I went back and I was like, well, sure enough, unironically. And then what I shared though was that when I wrote the email and I did the post, it was, I get it there ready to go, so that when I'm ready to post, it's all done, because there's nothing more annoying to me than trying to write out a Instagram post on my phone, like call me old school or whatever. The format's terrible in the app. Like, it gives you the teeniest, tiniest little window to see what you're writing. So I write everything else out in a document, even if it's a small one. I do use, hate Meta, but I use their business scheduling tool just to get it in that format, ready to go. And then when it's ready to publish, because I can see all the text, I can put in my hashtags, I can see all the slides. A lot of times I have to move them around because when I upload them, they're in the wrong order. So I got to make sure so I actually went through that and made sure they were in the right order. Never noticing that there was 2 of the cover slides. So that's funny because I didn't see it and you didn't see it until we actually moved into the gate of details. Details. You say details or
Details.
Details.
Really don't know how many people I've ever heard say details.
Pay attention. You'll hear it now. You'll be like, oh my God, she was right. People say it different ways.
She said details.
Knowing the way everything goes in this world, there will probably be a reel that you will come across tonight while you're scrolling through reels.
It's gonna slap me in the face and be like, okay, She was right.
Oh, okay. Just you wait. Speaking
Okay,
of
algorithms.
waiting,
Wait. Wait.
what are you doing?
Wait. It's you've never heard of?
What?
It's some bigger cities for the crosswalks, they'll
Mm-hmm.
have wait,
Oh, yeah.
wait,
It's in
wait.
Denver. They do that in Denver?
I don't know.
Picked it up somewhere. It's not around here.
Well, I think where I first ever heard it was like Asheville or something.
Oh, yeah. We were in Nashville. It did do that, didn't it? People are like, what the fuck are you talking about now? Waiting. I said wait. And because I was trying to create a clean segue into our topic today. And then you just really went and just blew it up with that crosswalk analogy. Not analogy, reference.
Mhm.
So by now, people, this is the first episode they've ever listened to, have now turned off the episode. But if you're still here, wow, we've got something for you to talk about today.
Hey, people like us for a reason. They come back.
But there's always new people they don't know. Try. So waiting. So it got me thinking. I heard someone talking the other day about all the waiting that's involved in human design. And a lot of people think, or there is a lot of talk around, well, generally we know that generators have to wait, projectors have to wait, and reflectors have to wait. But then like, oh, I want to be a manifestor. I don't have to wait. Well, one, you can't just
Wrong.
choose which one you're going to be. But yeah, it's wrong. And it got me thinking about, we haven't talked about this in a while, and we can look at it a little differently now as well. But there's a reason why there is all this waiting and talk of waiting built into human design and using human design or experimenting with human design. And really, it goes down to type and your aura and everything. But I think there's a little more to it. But so if I were to pose the question to you of why are we waiting? Why is it telling us we have to wait? What do you think the waiting is about?
I think a lot of things nowadays are just way too fast paced and things don't need to be. Like
Mm-hmm.
if we just think of like I know from corporate culture, everything is on fire always all the time. That's it. Everything is emergency. And I'm like, it's really not that big of a deal. Like
Yeah.
so I understand the waiting. It's like you can take a minute. You can take a breath.
Why do you think they are that way? Like, why do you think that's part of the culture? If you were just to hazard a guess, I mean, I don't know because I've never
I
worked
think
in corporate.
because just everything is so tied to output and productivity. It's
Mm,
like if I don't get this right away, everything's going to fall apart. And it's like I promise
hmm
you, it's not. It's not that big of a deal.
And that creeps into the whole work life thing, and also the like. Do you think it's more prevalent now since COVID when they feel like they have access to you all the time?
I think so.
Mm,
And I mean, like, I personally, I don't have any work on my phone. I
hmm
don't need it. Presley, on
hmm
the other hand, he doesn't detach as well. But I'm like, it's not as important to
Well,
me.
he
It's
thrives
like,
on work. You not so
yes, he
much.
does.
He's got the energy for it. You're just like, what time is it? Okay. Time to clock
Like
out.
my computer is shut. I am not in the office. I will
Yeah.
look at it
Yeah.
some other time.
Yeah. So in human design, waiting is tied obviously to type, to aura
Mhm.
type, like the significance of waiting. And like I said, the ones that we hear the most is wait to respond
Mhm.
and wait for the invitation. So that's wait to respond for generators, which also includes manifesting generators, and waiting for projectors. So
Waiting for the invitation, which
sorry,
is projectors.
sorry, I was somewhere else apparently.
I mean, I think all of us projectors were very felt nice there. You said wait for the projectors.
Let's wait for the projectors. Wait for the right projector. Which, yeah, I mean, we talk about strategy, and I was always I taught or came to the understanding that strategy does go both ways. So I am waiting for a projector to recognize for the things I need, right? But as a generator, and But let's just talk about that real quick about the different types and their strategies and what the significance is of those. So we'll just start at the ones that the most people are generators. So generators, manifesting generators. Manifesting generators, listen up. You have to wait. You still have to wait. I know you don't want to. And I have like the analogy of as a manifesting generator is like that sports car at this traffic light. He's got one foot on the brake and one foot on the gas, waiting to pop that clutch and go. But it's just like, just give me the sign and I'm out of here. I ain't waiting around. Or like the tortoise and the hare. The generator is the tortoise, the hare is the like, let's go. You always get there. Or the person that's always like cutting you off in traffic. Not to say manifesting generators are all doing that, but we all usually someone is busting ass trying to get around you, and then you end up at the same speed or the same stoplight, the next intersection.
It's like a little bit of retribution. You're like, yes.
Yes, which we're not wishing that on manifesting
No,
generators.
not at all. I'm just talking about
got
traffic.
carried away. Apparently today's a traffic episode. We're talking about pedestrian crosswalks and traffic lights. But no, so as generators, we have this internal compass. We have our sacral response, the thing, that gut feeling that lets us know when things come our way, yes or no, if this is something we're going to respond to positively or not. How's our body feel? Yes or no. And that gives us, it's not exactly always the right time to act because authority plays into it too, but you're waiting to respond to something so that your sacral can do its job to let you know if this is the way you want to go or not, right? So like you're thinking about taking a let's say you want to take a vacation or a retreat of some sort and you're like, I really need to get away or I want to do, and then and you don't like go book the flight or go look for it, you just have it in the back of your mind of this is something I really feel like doing. You feel like I really need a break, I need to get away, I don't really know where to go, and then just trusting that with that intention start, you can see things will start appearing, or people might send you something, or you'll just see an ad, and freaking Meta can read your mind, so they'll send you the appropriate ads for where you need to go. We laugh, but it's not funny. It's out of control, actually. But anyway, so they have to wait for something to respond to because they're not meant to, we are not meant to initiate the action because we don't know what the right direction to go is without our sacral getting involved, because we have so much energy and it is capable of so much. Even if you don't feel like you have a lot of energy, it's there. You are capable of a lot. And to waste that energy is just a waste. It's just like, and so when they wait, also, when we're waiting, we're also, if you think about it, kind of building up that energy to attract things. So it's like, okay, I'm available. Kind of that wait. Hey, I'm here. I'm here. I'm here. What can come my way? So it makes you even more attractive to the opportunities and people around you. It's kind of like, also when you think about somebody has a undefined throat or whatever, when you just stand in the room and you don't try to, I mean, this is what I'd also like, it's hard for me to, I mean, it doesn't feel right to me for lots of different reasons in a room to like walk up to people and just start talking to them unless I've responded to something. Maybe they looked at me, or I was thinking I needed to talk to somebody about real estate and somebody's like, oh, they're a real estate agent. Oh, okay. Well, that's a connection type of thing. But I know you don't like walking up to people. There's nothing in you that wants to make that first contact. Which is not bad. But when you are, because they say with a generator, well, not a generator, but certainly with the emotional authority, it's like the more patient you are, the more attract. Same with a generator, the more attractive you become. Because, like you said, we're in this culture of like everybody like pushing and striving and doing this, and this. But then you look at the person who's not looking for your attention, who's just kind of quietly there or whatever, and you're like, and this goes,
it's the mystery.
yeah. And I think this works out for the generator and the projector types. of just waiting for your opportunity, waiting for your invitation. Or we also talked about all the projected gates in channels in the chart, I should say, in the chart of waiting, right timing, being patient, right? And so if you don't wait as a generator, as I said, you could experience that burnout because you're pushing too much. It's not a good use. There is one other thing for generator types that we need to consider, which I don't think gets talked about enough, which is that plateau space of
Yeah.
where a lot of frustration builds up. But then also it is that plateau space where generators have a stair-step learning curve. They have a surge and then they plateau. They have a surge and then they plateau, right? Which this is kind of it is off topic, but I wanted to ask you, because you live in the mountains and you go hiking. Did you see those videos about people of how to walk uphill, like to keep continuously walking uphill
Yeah,
to
you
hike?
sent me a reel about it.
Okay. Well, I just think about that with that stair step here. It's like, oh, it's okay. It's like prioritizing where you're putting your weight, like it's on the front foot and continuously pulling yourself up. And it feels that way here, that you're kind of pausing, waiting, pulling yourself up. And because that again is a time for you to recharge your energy, really decide if this is something you're still committed to, interested in, want to keep building, waiting for those, kind of gives you a chance to slow down and wait and see, okay, is this where I want to keep going? And then seeing what responds or what shows up so that you can then respond it to again and then have another surge. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I mean, it's like a temperature check. You're like, all right, how do I still feel about it? What do I still like? Do I want to still do it? Or am I over it?
And quite often, if you're still in it, because they say generators are the builders and everything, and they also quantum, she calls generators alchemists, to keep creating and building and mastering what it means to live a life. So you're always building your life, your business, your relationships, or whatever. And that recommitment all the time to those things helps make it stronger and building on to the next and to the next and the next. So even if you're a manifesting generator, we say that yes, you can get into action after you respond, but you have to remember, and that's why in older, more traditional schools of thought around human design is there's only 4 types. There's not 5 types. There wasn't 5 types when the system was delivered. I think honestly there was only 2, do or not do. Like it was like you either sacral or not. That was it. And then Ra kind of broke it down even further. But initially, from what I understand, it was either you had to find sacral or you didn't. And that was the only distinction between type of how you moved. But he kind of finessed it a little bit. But anyway, so we said manifesting generators. So then projectors, obviously waiting for those invitations. What do you understand about that now?
Let's see. What do I understand about it now? So there's like, what do I want to say?
I know. Take your time. We can edit.
I mean, you basically have to be like,
I guess I want to say, do you see the value in it? What's the value in it? Do you see, like, do you understand it more? Because it's obviously a big resistance point when we first hear about this, is the waiting part.
Yeah. I do see the value in it, and like looking back on my life and different like things that I've tried to do and things I've been invited to become a part of, seeing how they've turned out differently based on if I was invited into it or if I tried to kind of start it and push it.
And do you have a good understanding now of like, because this is the other thing about waiting for projectors that they get confused about at first, is do you always have to wait for everything?
Yes, I do understand that. Like, you have to wait for the invitation for the big things, for the big decisions, for the big projects. It's not every little thing. And like, when you first told me that, I was like, I have to wait for everything. Like, what? That's just stupid.
Yeah. Well, in that context, it really is stupid. I mean, it's not, it doesn't make sense.
Then you're like,
so what
can I do anything?
But do you understand now the waiting part and what that means and why you wait? Like, what does it mean to you now?
So it makes me understand that, like, I'm not a generator, so I don't have this kind of plethora of energy. And so then waiting for this invitation to, like, so then I'm called into the right things makes it the best use of my more limited energy and making
Mm-hmm.
sure that it's used to the best ability.
That is true because as you said, 20% of the population roughly are projectors, which means there's not as many, but the very specific use of a projector's energy is a more penetrating energy. It penetrates into the heart really of the other. So projectors are always tending to focus more on other people than
Yes,
themselves.
absolutely.
And I have no idea what that's like. No. I mean, I have a lot of
That's not
caretaking
true.
tendencies. No, I love my people, but always thinking about understanding myself. I think projectors are what I hear are always thinking about understanding others.
Yep.
Um, but and that's how you guys are wired in the sense that in the grand scheme of how we all fit into the collective, projectors are meant, they say, to guide and lead. It doesn't mean you have to be a manager for a
Mhm.
job or any of that stuff. It just means that there are specific people that are looking for your particular skill set, guidance, or whatever it is you excel at, and they will appreciate that in you. And you have to wait as a projector because you also have to know what you want to be invited into,
Yeah.
right? Like I have a friend who has many different skill sets, but one is a career that she doesn't want to be recognized for anymore. Like she's done with that part of her life and
Mhm.
she has a new part of her life she wants to move into. And as she has uh taken the time and gotten more comfortable with not pursuing or trying to initiate certain things, when certain invitations have come her way that at a time prior in her life she would have said yes to and then ended up a little bitter, burnt out, not really
Mhm.
happy, she felt the mental pressure to say yes. And it felt good to have someone bring something to her. But then she has come to realize that that's not what she wants to be recognized for anymore. And it's
Mhm.
incredibly important for projectors, especially a line two projectors such as yourself, to know what it is you want to be recognized for. Or say, because your profile fits into it, if you've got a line five and you're a projector, what is it you want to help people with? Like you have to
Mhm.
really know these things yourself so that when the invitations come, you can align with the correct ones. And then
Mhm.
that feeling of success and just like, I just think I have seen where you have just lit up before when you are recognized for things that you want to be recognized for and you're in your element and you're doing it. Like it's bright and it's shiny. And like I said, that's why projectors are like the lighthouse. It's like, here I am, and think how grateful those sailors at sea on a dark night are to find a flash of light from the lighthouse on the shore. So um yeah. So definitely if you don't, as a projector, take the time to wait, it can lead to a lot of bitterness. It
Mhm.
can be a lot of non-recognition. Like you've had the experience of people just completely not hearing you, right?
Yeah.
Or I think you said in the last episode we were talking about like they call me bossy.
Yeah.
That's what I said.
Yeah.
I think of your whole childhood of like trying to tell your brother all the time what he needed to
I knew what
do.
was right, just didn't listen to me.
I think of all the times he either got really mad at you, completely ignored you, you guys would fight it, or he would just laugh at you.
So rude.
I- oh my God, so many happy memories of you two. You guys were so cute. But anyway, so then another type that really has to wait, the reflectors, they have to wait a lot, right?
Yeah.
What's the strategy there for those reflectors?
Oh, we talk about reflectors so little that
Yeah,
I don't remember. I mean, I know. Wait, did they have to wait on the moon? Wait 30
Yes.
days.
Well, a lunar cycle.
Yes.
Again, for big decisions, for like things that involve other people, if it's relationships or jobs or moving house
Big
or
change.
big changes. Do you know why they have to wait the full lunar cycle? At least to get a better feel. It's not always, nothing's 100%, I don't think, but to get a best understanding they can of a certain situation. Why?
I mean, because obviously the moon moves through the gates, so I think they have to wait for
But why is
that.
that significant for a reflector?
Well, they have no defined centers.
That's right, because they don't have any full channels. Right.
Yeah, so they have to wait for the cycle to then, I guess, get definition to work through that.
Well, yeah. So the moon is going to go through each of the 64 gates throughout its lunar cycle, roughly 28 days. And because it moves through each gate roughly about every 11 to 12 hours, kind of thing, something like that. And so it will create definition on certain days between different centers. And so that kind of, there might be days where maybe they're an emotional authority, or there might be days, which they may never be, they might not have any emotional connection, or there could be a little bit more energy certain days or a little more clarity on certain days. But so that's important. So they've got to really understand throughout that 28-day cycle of, and for them, if they start tracking the moon cycle around how their personal design, they're going to be able to know throughout the month when they could expect to have more energy, less energy, to be maybe like if they do create emotional definitions, know there's going to be days where there's highs and lows, that kind of thing. That helps them get a better understanding. But then they also need during that time to have those trusted people around them that they can kind of see that, have themselves reflected back to them through other people by talking about their decision, how they feel, if it's possible for them to, like if they're going to move somewhere, get in that environment, see how it feels, understanding really, because environment's so important, reflectors, but really it's that they need that time to really honor their own sensitivity, know that they're going to feel different on different days about things, and to understand if that's them or if that's the people around them, if it's the environment around them. And so it allows them the time to process their choices a lot more. It just takes them more time because they do have all that openness, and there are so many factors involved there. So that just kind of helps them tune into that a little bit better. So, and if they don't, so what happens for reflectors is they can experience a sense of disappointment as the not self theme there, because they rush the decision because they feel like everybody, I mean, I praise the reflectors out there in living comfortably in their design in this way, ones that are living this way of knowing, one, they're a reflector, and two, knowing they need to take more time than most everybody else to make decisions is, I think, incredible. Because we're all pressured to make so many decisions, even big decisions throughout a day. It's just like, it must be hard. But,
We have also talked about that if it's supposed to happen, it's going to still happen for you. It's going to come back around.
Yeah. Yeah. So they just have to be really clear on their energy, what's theirs, how it changes throughout the months, how they feel, and so that they just have enough time to process. So that leaves us with our manifestors, who have been led to believe they don't ever have to wait for anything.
Lies.
And there's some truth to that. However, what sets manifestors apart is the fact that they have one of their centers is going to be motor centers, not the sacral center, but maybe emotional center, will center, root, somehow connected to the throat. And in human design, that says, okay, your energetic configuration is you have energy that goes to the manifestation center, the center of the throat, the communication center that allows you to get whatever it is you're working on out into the world. You can get into action, and they can. They're here to do that. There's only 9% or so. I think it's shrinking over time how many manifestors
Interesting.
there are. It's very, I mean, we're talking hundreds of years. It's going to keep going, but that are here to get the ball rolling. But what they have to wait for is they have to be in alignment. They have to have the right timing lined up, because when you think about where their motors are coming, or what their energy is coming from, what do we know about all three of these motors are a little different. So what do we know about the root, Haley, in timing?
It's pulses. It's not consistent. It's pulses.
Right. They're not rhythmic. They're
Nope.
just like, sometimes it's there.
It's just all over the place.
That's right. And so if they're a manifestor who has the motor, the root connected to the throat through like the splenic center, they have to be prepared. They have to be in alignment. They have to be ready that when that happens, they can get into action. What about the will center? That's a motor.
Center. That one is the gas tank. You got to make sure that one has time to recharge, to replenish, to get back up to full.
Because that motor in particular, it's small, it is mighty, tiny. And it loves to work. If you're a projector and you have that center defined, it can be challenging because it wants to work.
Kind of a sacral wannabe.
Sort of. It is all about what you want and you doing things in the world, and that's true. It doesn't have to respond, but it has to restore. And like you said, if you try to start a car that the gas tank has completely emptied out, you can't, or you're on fumes. It takes a lot more to get an engine going again after it has completely run out. So same with this energy center. If that's your main source of energy, if you are depleted source, where you get all, as a manifestor, where you get your ideas from, like manifestors are just like tuned into this source of inspiration. It's like a direct link. They don't always know when it's going to happen either. Yeah. It's like, if you're not taking care of yourself as a manifestor, you're exhausting yourself, you're amplifying sacral energy or whatever it is you're doing. Source will just like kind of give you a
cut
break
it out
and be like,
nope, you need time.
And your ideas might stop flowing.
You need to wait.
Yeah. Yeah. So they have to be aware of, I mean, this is a type manifestors. Their aura is very close to them. They call it closed and repelling because they don't need others to get things going. They're not really concerned with others. It is very much a like right in front of me. This is where I want to go. This is what I want to do kind of thing. And I got to be ready to get into action. Like, you just don't know when it's going to happen necessarily. And so I feel like they have to have a really good sense of their own inner world and their own, like, what it feels like to be in alignment, so that they can almost feel that surge when it starts to come. They know the time is right. And then they can get into action, because no matter what type you are, it's like there is a time for everything in the universe. It moves in a certain way, and we don't always see all the pieces that are lining up around us or gathering, all the components that are gathering for us to be directed towards, in order to keep fulfilling what it is that's going to fulfill us. I don't know if that makes sense. So waiting for a manifestor helps them kind of refine this connection between themselves and that inner nonverbal, just knowing kind of connection they have with source. So when it's time to act. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so the types, those are why they have to wait. We also know about authority. Mostly we either have authority, which means when we make decisions, how we make decisions, how we know. You're either, I mean, it pretty much comes down to two, really, of like, you have to wait or you don't have to wait. Again, more waiting. And most people fall into the two camps of emotional or non-emotional, 50-50, right? And again, I mean, this still talks about the manifestor too, because we didn't talk about the emotional solar plexus as a motor. How does it operate, Haley?
It has 3 different types of emotional waves.
Waves. And again, unpredictable. Sometimes you're high, sometimes you're low. Sometimes energy's there, sometimes it's not. And again, we don't know always when that's going to occur. And so even if you have that motor connected to the throat as a manifestor or a manifesting generator, you've got to understand where you are in that wave and feel when the timing is right. And so authority plays into it too, is it the right time or not? And so that's the mechanics part of human design. But then I think about in general, outside of human design, if there is an outside, for me anymore.
Not solely in the lens of human design.
Correct. Just I'm really fascinated by, and I've been reading more all the time about brain science and how the brain works and how it processes information, what it does. And when we're, like you said earlier, we're always rushing, and we've got the land of the culture of the internet now, and instantaneous information and action and buy now and all these. I mean, how many buy now buttons do we see in a day? Really?
I know. I mean, how many times am I scrolling through Instagram Reels and I'm like, okay, I need to go to bed. I'm like, one more good video and I'll go to bed. And next thing I know, it's like 40 videos later and I'm like, what the hell am I doing?
Yeah, it's bad. So it's important here to, through the lens of human design, to know, first of all, in both these instances, that waiting is not always a passive state. It's not a punishment. It's not like on the Monopoly board where you have to, don't pass go.
It's not jail.
It's not jail. Don't collect $200. There's a reason for it. And so what we also, I mean, this is not outside of human design either, because a lot of the, most of the purpose of human design is to get you in touch with your aura, your body, how you are actually moving physically in this world and in this space. And that's because the mind is a liar.
It really is.
I'm just going to call it out.
It's a sneaky little liar.
But it has its reasons. Okay, let's just be fair. It's not like trying to trick us in order to manipulate us in that way.
It's just trying to keep us safe. That's why it lies to us.
Exactly. And there's so many processes that are happening in the brain in every second of how much information.
Memory storage.
Yeah, we don't know about that. But I'm fascinated to learn more about the how the brain works and our evolution as a species, and how our brains have changed, and how our brains have changed is what has made us dominant as top of the food chain kind of thing.
And what's also crazy is how much our brain is just automatically filtering out. And we can see our nose all the time, but our brain just says, nope.
You make me cross-eyed. True. And the mind, in order to do that, the evolution as a species and why we became top of the food chain is because our ancestors were the ones that their brains developed when we split from the other human type of peoples that used to roam the earth. I don't know the scientific terms.
I don't either.
But it's because our brain started processing differently. It started filtering out information that it deemed unnecessary. The most necessary things were survival in order for the next generation to survive, right? So that meant not getting killed, finding food, and procreating. That was it. And for most of the animal kingdom, that is still it. That's just it.
Yeah.
I think all of it, really. Domesticated dogs and cats might have different criteria.
They're evolving.
I think the cats are world domination. But if you think about, because they're seeing all this science and there's all this evidence to say that there is literally billions of bits of information that our brains are processing in every second. And we just sit there and think nothing's happening. Right now, when I think about all the different spectrum of light that I'm not seeing, all the sounds I'm not hearing, how many biological processes are happening right now in our bodies?
It's allowing us to think Yet it's also running our entire bodies.
Yeah.
And they say we only use like we actually only use a small portion of our brain for
consciously.
I guess I mean,
yes.
yeah.
Consciously, because that's one of the books I'm reading right now or have read, and I'll have to go back and read it again because I probably read it too fast. But give me the good stuff. By Dr. James Doty is a neuroscience scientist. And that's why we have the sympathetic and the parasympathetic systems, the nervous systems in the brain. And one is just like vital functioning and all this other stuff, all the process and the executive functioning of the brain, the default mode network, which we can do other episodes about that because we're getting off the rails here. But my main point was the brain is so busy, really always tied into what it thinks is important, which is survival. Or we talk about conditioning, human design, the subconscious. It's always really scanning your environment all the time and only paying attention to the things that you have told it are important or whatever. So it's like if you are in a state of confusion or your background default mode is like running on stories that your parents told you, or your family told you, or what you think about yourself or whatever, right? And you're always making these fast decisions. You're just continuing down this road of almost mindless action, in the sense that you're not giving yourself the time to process how you feel about something. It's reactionary.
You're just defaulting. Yeah.
Yeah, you're just reactionary, defaulting. And most of those behaviors, as I said, are more limited, fear-based thinking, things that you've learned that you're not giving yourself the time and space to really explore. And so I think that's why that's why mindfulness plays into this. This is why they say take 5 deep breaths before you say something else or do something else. It's like all tied together, I think. What do you think?
Yeah. I mean, as we're learning with human design, things aren't separate of other things. Like everything is connected.
Yeah. And so that's the main thing here, is getting ourselves, I should say, in touch with how our body best processes the information around us. We got away from it for trusting these instincts and these feelings and these emotions around things, and just defaulting to something that isn't really making fully informed choices, if you ask me. Because like I was saying, I don't know if it was when we were talking here or somewhere else, how this, I can't remember. There's so many bits of information that I'm trying to jam in here all the time. How I used to, before human design, before mindfulness, for slowing down more, for meditation.
Oh, that's fun.
Meditation. How much of my life was on default? How much of my actions were on default? Like I thought I was thinking about things, but I wasn't really. It was just like I just think about how I used to fill up my time with activities that were more about consumption or pursuing some kind of feeling, getting that dopamine hit, whatever it is, of like, I got to go shopping, I got to go do this, because I couldn't just like sit and be still with yourself. That's what they say about the greatest threat to mankind is his inability to sit in a room by himself. It's like you can't just sit there and be still and be quiet.
Well, I mean, you look at like the younger generations now, tablet, iPad kids, like a lot of them don't know what bored is.
Yeah, and what a waste. I mean, we used to know what bored was. And I'm okay now with that. It's like, I don't think I don't get bored anymore, honestly. I don't. I mean, there's the internet. I need to get away from that. That's just another like drug type thing. It's another addiction, because that's not spending time alone doing nothing.
No.
It's like sitting outside and just having your thoughts, or having nothing to do and being okay with that.
I try to like the Saturday, Sunday morning, I like to take my coffee on the porch and just
Mhm.
sit there. And then sometimes after work, I'll just like go out on the porch and just sit there. And Bailey gets to lay on the porch in the sun. And I just like watch people. Just people
Mhm.
watch.
Yeah. Yeah. So really the waiting is important, and it's I feel like it's nourishing now. Like waiting is more nourishing than rushing around and trying to make things happen. It is the
Mhm.
temptation is still so present to want to push forward on things, especially when
Mhm.
unexpected things come up or you find yourself in a position of like needing something, and as a type like a generator or whatever, where you have to like kind of I can still see this as a default behavior in myself of getting afraid of something or afraid something's going to happen, and I try to counteract it by getting into action first, like saying I have
Mhm.
an unexpected expense come up and I'm like, oh my god, I need to make this money now, what can I do now? And there's some good in that, I think, but my I can put it out in the world there if I wanted to. The intention is, okay, I know I need to, something needs to happen, let's say, or I think it does, but then
Mhm.
not trying to force it, going into the practices of meditation or some tapping, trying to ease some of that, which is what I've been doing, ease some of this emotional like energy
Mhm.
around this need to get into action real quick, and just trust, because it is a practice, just trust that things will show up because they always have. Maybe not a solution, but the next right step is going to
Mhm.
show up for a generator.
Yeah. And
And it is just still practice.
it may seem counterproductive, but like waiting is purposeful
Mhm.
because
Yeah.
it makes you act and you're just more conscious and you just do things more purposefully.
Mhm. Yeah. And that's what this is all about, is aligning with what's going to be right for you and taking your mental process out of it and allowing your energy to do the work for you, and allow your emotions not only to guide you but to help you create with your emotions and your
Mhm.
intentions and all that other stuff, and just see what kind of magic happens. So I don't think waiting's a bad thing. It can be frustrating, or that's my word, I'm a generator, to get used
Mhm.
to it, but to see waiting as an active state in itself. You know what I mean? Like
It's
choosing to
you're
wait.
waiting, but you're preparing. Like
Mhm.
you're making sure that you are prepared emotionally, physically. Like you're just preparing yourself to make sure you're aligned.
And let's wrap it up with your analogy of wait. What happens at the crosswalk? It's telling you to wait. Why?
You gotta wait for the right time to
Well, you don't want to
move.
get hit by a car.
Yeah.
It's not your time. You got to wait. It's going to come. Just be
Mhm.
patient. And then the path will be clear for you. That's what a
Yeah.
crosswalk does. The path is clear. Everything moves out of your way. You waited, and there you go. You'll be able to move forward. Woo!
Looky there.
Look at that. We wrapped something up. Nice callback. We
We
brought
did
it back around.
it.
All right. So you know what that means, Haley?
Mhm. Yep. The Incarnation Cross of the Week.
Whoop whoop. That's right. I always feel like giving a little whoop whoop. I don't always, but I feel like it. Yes, ma'am, that is right. At the end of every episode, mostly, we have a little segment we call the Incarnation Cross of the Week. And their reason we do this is because in human design, there is the Incarnation Cross, which consists of 4 gates in your design,
Mhm.
which are your design, your personality and design side of your chart, conscious, unconscious, whatever you want to call it, sun and earth gates. And these are kind of the main storyline in your life. It's the main energy expression that you have. It is kind of like your path, your purpose of why you're here.
Mhm.
And there's 192 of them.
Yeah.
It's linked to your profile. There's a lot of connections here. Apparently, like you said, we're going to do a refresher on it here
Mhm.
one day
Mhm.
soon. So we decided that we would do one of these every week, indefinitely, I guess, until we have 192 episodes of just Incarnation Cross at the end. Just to give you a little taste, a little synopsis, a little feel of what
We'll
the
feel
different
good. I
incarnations
mean,
are. And they're all
they're all
random.
good. Mhm.
There's no progression, so you don't know which one we're going to talk about until you get to
mystery.
the end of that episode.
I don't ever know.
Yeah, that's right. So this week we are going to be talking about the left angle cross of revolution.
Ooh,
So this
Left
consists
angle.
of left angle. So this consists of, on the conscious personality side of your chart, the black numbers, the sun is in gate 49, principles, and the earth is in gate 4, which is answers. We just talked about that.
Mhm.
On the other side of the chart, the unconscious or the body design side, in the red numbers, the sun is in gate 14, power skills, and then the earth is in gate 8, contribution.
So we have principles, answers, power skills, and contribution.
Sounds like what you need to lead a revolution, doesn't it?
Yeah. Power
And so
skills
it's a
always seems like a resume thing.
Power skills. That's me. Power skills. I'm power skills and contribution.
Okay.
So left angle cross means their profile is?
They are profile 5 or a 6.
Yes. So the first number in their profile is either going to be a 5 or a 6. And there's less of those out there. And there's also knowing that you're going to be impacting the collective, because line 5s and line 6s are about being either these visionary leaders or role models type thing. They're going to have an impact in the world. So that just means that your destiny in life, your karma, whatever you want to call it, is going to involve other people. So in order to
more
really
outward
live
focused.
out, when you're really living the expression of these gates and you're really embodying them by just simply living by your type, strategy, and authority, this is meant to impact people around you, outside of you. You're gonna have that kind of role in life. So anyways, your destiny involves other people. All right. So if you were born under the left angle cross of revolution, you are here to introduce new principles when traditional methods have failed, sparking a revolution to create meaningful improvements, especially for those in the greatest need. You inspire and teach people to transform their work lives. You guide them in finding answers that bring greater abundance by expressing their true and authentic selves. By reshaping the economic landscape, you ensure that meaningful work includes genuine self-expression. You help people break free from the notion that they must compromise who they are to achieve abundance. Through your guidance, you empower others to live and work authentically, leading to a more fulfilling and prosperous life.
Love it.
So it's creating that revolution of being yourself.
Hey, I think these people, these incarnation crosses, they're working it
as the path to success. Yes. Yeah. So that's it. That's today's episode. That's it. And thank you for listening. Hali and I really appreciate you being here. So it gives us the opportunity ourselves to come together and talk about these things we want to talk about anyhow. So we appreciate you being here. And until next time, I'll say goodbye for now, Hali. So bye.
Bye.
You made it all the way to the end of today's episode, so you must have liked what you heard. If you did, make sure you subscribe so you never miss an episode, and perhaps leave us a good review. And if you know someone who wants to dig into all things human design with us, make sure you share the Human Design Hive podcast with them. We'd really appreciate it. Thanks for listening.